Okay, online with me today is Engineer IK, a friend and a colleague. We have been together in a long. Engineer IK, can you just give us a brief introduction and tell us about yourself?
Thank you, Benga. My name is Ngwikenna. Benga is my colleague. We graduated from the same university, Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. Thank you. I'm happy to join you today in this video.
Okay, thank you for coming, Engineer IK. We have established already that Ethernet LAN defines the family of standards for data link and physical link, and as well defines the connectivity that exists within the physical and the data link layer. So Ethernet is a standard that is defined by IEEE. It specifies the connectors and cables as well as protocols that handles the physical connection of um, networking devices as well as different nodes in a computer network. Engineer Ike, can you just tell us, we have already established that there is a straight through cable and there's a crossover cable. I would like to give us an overview of what a straight through cable is. Thank you.
Thank you, Benga. A cable is what you make of it. When you get network cable from the market, it is neither a crossover or straight through cable. So what makes it crossover or straight through is how you make your connections using the RJ45 or the module. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. So basically, it has been established that when you go into a shopping complex or you go into your engineering shop to buy a cable, you are not going out to buy neither a straight cable nor a crossover cable, except you're buying an already made cable, as he has said. So, Engineer Ike, we want you to show us how to make a cable. So, how can we make a cable?
Okay, I'm going to show you how to make straight through cable and crossover cable. But before I dive into that, it's necessary you understand that there are two standards we can use to do this. We have standard A and we have standard B. Being straight through or crossover depends on the standard you have decided to use. The major standard people use now is standard B. And how do you identify these standards? It's just about how you arrange the cables inside. So I'm going to show you how to make the cables, and as I'm going on, I will tell you more about standard A and standard B. So here we have network cable, Cat6 cable. Here we have LAN tester. Here is punch down tool. We use this to secure the network cable on the module. This is module. I will show you more about this when I start. Then this is RJ45. This plugs inside the module when you finish making the cable. So right away, I'm going to cut this cable into two so that I will use one for crossover and the other for straight through. The first cable I'm making now is straight through cable. So the first thing I'm going to do is to peel out the outer part of this cable. There is a part of this that you can use to do this, and you have to be very, very careful so that you don't cut any of the pairs inside. So gently rotate this and pull this off. We have 4 pairs of cable here, so we take this one out. We have orange and white orange twisted together. We have green and white green together. These are the two. The first one here decides whether it's standard A or standard B. If I start with orange and white orange, it is standard B. If I start with green, white green, it's standard A. So since standard B is the one that is mostly used, so I'm going to start with this and this. This blue and white, blue. And this is brown, white, brown. So how do we arrange these cables? We start with orange, white, orange, orange. The next one is green. I'm going to keep this green away and take blue. I take blue. The next one is white, blue. Then I'll bring back the green. The next one, white, brown. And brown. So I've successfully arranged my cable the way I want it to be. White, orange, orange, white, green, blue, white, blue, green, white, brown, brown. This is standard B. Whether you're making straight through or crossover, this is standard B. So the next thing I'm going to do is to give it a sharp cut with these two. See how I'm holding the RJ45. You can see I'm holding this. Make sure the white orange starts from this end. You can see if you place it like this, it will not give you what you want. It must be like this. So let's secure this inside. Push it very well to make sure everything is in. And you have to check here and make sure you can see all the 8 cables. If not, if you miss any of these cables, it will not work. So the next thing is to bring our crimping tool. We have 3 ports here. We have 4 pin, 6 pin and 8 pin. This is 8 pin. So insert this. Make sure it comes out the other side. Push it once and release it. Now our cable is secured inside. If you check very well, you see that part of the protector for the cable is inside this. This is a good cable practice. You must make it to be like this so that it will last for a long time. Now, what actually defines whether this cable is straight through or crossover is what I do to this end. If I do the same thing I've done here to the other end, like straight, the same pin to the same pin, it is a straight through cable. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to duplicate what I've done here to the other side. And this time I'm going to be faster since you already know what I'm doing. So I have succeeded in making a straight through cable. If you look at this, you see that it's the same cable arrangement in each of the RJ45. It started with white, orange, and ended with brown. This is a straight through cable. I'm going to quickly make a crossover cable before we start testing to know if our cable is working. Our straight through cable is ready. I'm going to pick the next cable and produce a crossover cable. The only difference between crossover cable and straight through cable is how we make the connections at the both ends. So this one, the same connection I made at both ends of this straight through cable is the same connection I will make at this end. Then when it comes to this end, I will show you the difference. Just like before, I'm just repeating what I've done before. Look at this cable very well and get the position of white, orange, orange, white, green. What I want you to note is the position of these 4 cables, because we are going to cross over at the other end. The position of white, orange, and orange will be taken by white, green, and green. We just swap these two with these two. That will be the difference. So let me complete this. Check to make sure the arrangement is still correct. Now let's secure the cable inside. That's done. Now is the time to cross over. And don't forget, these are the two that are crossing over. White, the green, and orange are crossing over. I started with white, orange, orange. So now I'm starting with white, green, green. White, orange. The position of blue is maintained together with white, blue. Then orange, and the position of brown is still maintained. Once again, look at this. Before, we had white, orange, and orange here. White, green, and green. Now we have white, green, and green here. The position of white, green have been taken by white, orange, and the position of green taken by orange. So let's put this together and secure it in the RJ45. The cable is complete. Now let's look at what we have done. Look at this. You can see the first cable here is white, green. The first one here is white, orange. Once you see something like this, you know that it's a crossover cable. But if they are the same, it's a straight through cable. So now we are going to test to make sure that this cable is working perfectly using our LAN tester. We have one port here in the master for 8 pin, and we have another one for 6 pin. So I'm going to plug this into the 8th pin. Let me start with the straight through cable. Let me start with this. Let's test the straight through cable. By straight through means that we have the same connection in all the pins. So what we are expected to see here is that when the master is reading 1, the remote is also reading 1, straight up to it. If there is any jump, then the cable is not working perfectly. So watch as the light jumps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's how we will know that our cable is working perfectly well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is okay. Then what happens when we plug in the crossover cable? What happens when we plug in the crossover cable? I will allow you to figure it out by seeing what will happen when I plug it. Watch. The master is reading straight from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But watch what is happening here. While this is reading 1, this is reading 3. Watch. 1, 3. You see that? When this is reading 2, this is reading 6. Watch again. When this is reading 3, this will read 1. Watch. And when this is reading 6, this will read 2. Watch. This is because we crossed cables 1, 2, 4, and 6. Sorry, we crossed cable 1, 2, 3, and 6 to the other side. Okay, I'm going to show you how to fix the network cable on the module. Here with me is Cat 6 module. We have Cat 5 module. So I'm going to show you. This cable here is coming from either switch or patch panel to the wall. So I'm going to show you how to do this. In the usual way, we have to peel this off. Then untwist everything. Now let's look closely to the module. Don't forget I told you about standard A and standard B before. This module has two color scheme. The upper colors standing for A and the lower colors for B. The same thing applies on the other side as well. You can see this. So for standard A, we are using white, green, green, white, blue, blue. For standard B, we are using white, orange, orange, white, blue, blue. There is no too much task in doing this. Just follow the color scheme here and fix your cable accordingly. We are using orange and blue on one side, orange and blue on one side, using B. Then on the other side, we are using green and brown. So we have this to go on opposite sides of this. I hope you are watching. So we have to start fixing this. The first, try to make sure this cable enters inside a bit. It's a good cable practice. White, orange, orange, white, blue, then blue. Check and make sure everything is in order. Then we do the same thing the other side. Come to this side. we are using B. So white, brown, brown, white, green, and the last one, green. Look closely and make sure everything is the way you want it to be. This will be used to cover this when we are done. So that is why your cable will not have to stand up. You have to bend it down like this. So the next thing we are going to do is to punch down all these cables. There is a metal connector inside, and these cables will only make contact when we punch it down. So I'm going to drop this here so that I'll be able to apply the required force on it. You can start from any one of my choice. Let me start with this. Push it down very well. Okay, when you are done, this is what it will look like. Make sure your colors are correct and you followed the standard B. The next thing is to use this to cover this. Push it down. Now it's secure. Now is the time to test our module to know if it is working perfectly. This cable is just very short here so that you will understand exactly what we are doing. But on a normal day, this cable is coming from your server room or your cubicle. It will pass through the ceiling up to the wall in your room, in your offices. This is supposed to be on the wall somewhere in your office. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to test from the patch panel to the wall to know if my module is working perfectly. And to do that, I'm going to need another cable. This one is plugged into my laptop. This will plug to my laptop. Then I'll plug this on the wall. Don't forget this one is already connected to the patch panel. So I'm going to remove this from the patch panel and connect one of my testers. Then the other end in my office will be connected to the other end of my tester. And if the reading is the same, then everything is correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So our module is working perfectly. You can see we are taking our feed from the module and it's working perfectly. So I want to believe today you have learned how to make Ethernet cable, straight through cable, crossover cable, how to terminate with the RJ45, and also how to terminate using the module. You have also learned how to use the LAN tester to test your cable to make sure that it's working perfectly. See you next time.